character from a bygone era. I do think the character model was actually like very distracting in not a good way, because like with the camera angles chosen, it just felt like this game seems like a game that came out in like 002 in terms of its, you know, like character design. It's like a bit old and not flattering, I don't think, for a modern audience. In comparison to something like Forspoken, which has, you know, I mean, yes, it has a much more realistic looking character designs. It's not these hyper proportioned something or another's, but it also seemed, I don't know, a bit more grounded in a way that I found much more appealing than.
You know, notice you said like a modern audience. Except for like a modern audience. What, like, we literally live in a generation where like Cardi B and like Meg the Stallion, Megan the Horse, fucking, where pretty much, like, I don't know what you mean by modern. It's pretty fucking hypersexualized when you think about it. Like, what do you mean by that?
I know the hot girl summer, the rap and all that, with the empowerment of sexuality, it was just wear what you want, flaunt what you want, and all this stuff. But then for him to kind of backtrack it,
I mean,
after
like
all of their progression,
like there's definitely, you know, he kind of said, in my opinion, at the end, but like it's kind of like, bruh, like.
Let's be real, he racist to Asian.
Hey, right there. Stop the Asian hate, bro.
Yeah, like, come on, bro.
Like, yo, he dead ass. I don't know. This is kind of where you know where the problem is with Manning is right now. Like, to be perfectly honest.
And why are we remaking a bunch of shit from 02 and all other facets of our media if the shit in 02 was not cool and it's dated? And a modern audience.
Yeah, we're like
that.
rebooting everything from the early 2000s and earlier.
Exactly.
You know,
that's because that's where so much creativity was starting to happen again. And y'all fools
bro, like I've said before, bro. Like, you know, to each their own. You can like whatever you like, but like, I don't know, man. He kind of spoke on it like it was offensive.
Right, like he was offended by the trailer.
Yeah, and I'm like, why would you be mad at sexy women?
Right.
Exactly.
What makes sense about that?
Right. And one thing that, like, you know, should be understood is when you're creating any kind of art, you want your character, your main character, to be aesthetically pleasing, to fit the aesthetic you want for that game. That game was clearly all futuristic, cyber, you know, and she looked like that. She looked sleek, cyber, you know, sexy. And like, they knew the assignment.
Yeah, like suit painted on her. Like, that's what I think the future looks like. We went from tall tees to the mediums. Like, clothes gets like tighter when you get more futuristic.
Right.
And
but
like, even when they show, if you watch the whole trailer of that one at the end, they show that alpha origin or alpha whatever.
The other robot thing that comes out with the one arm.
It's like when it came out, it was sitting there, another whole different aspect of the female genre that's going to be there in this universe. And it's like, was he still really mad because now there's a whole different one they can see? Like, she's fighting a bunch of these robots and monsters, but now she's fighting another humanoid type that's in front of her and everything, and is also female looking. So I'm still gonna have hate because this female looks like a robot with funny arms.
Well, and really, he's judging it off of face value. Like, you don't even know how the complexity of the writing is going to be for that game or anything like that, because it was honestly mostly an action-oriented trailer.
And here's something that you do know based off the game: it's not for kids. It's a mature audience. So, like, whether it's male or female, like, sexual attraction, sexual appeal, whatever you want to call it, you know, it's going to be there, and it's going to be for the mature audience. Mm-hmm. So it's like, if you're saying like it's not for modern audience, like, understand mature audience doesn't matter based off the time of the era. It's kind of their age. Like, if you're an adult, you can kind of handle that.
You should be able to.
Yeah, you know, you as a modern adult shouldn't be like, oh, now I'm sad. Like, this hurt my feelings, or this was gross to me. Like, that that doesn't make sense.
I'm offended because she got them things.
Yeah, like, right, bro, and like, come on, she was built.
Right.
Like, if you're athletic, that's the type of build you should have. And I mean, you see how athletic she's going to be throughout the entire game.
Now,
at least all of the action that's going to be going on.
Now let's talk about like what he I mean, I guess, look, anyone who got a brain can kind of see there's a big comparison between this game and that Forspoken game. All right, so you're putting down the gauntlet. You're throwing down the competition. You're admitting that these games are very similar. You got ass kicking lead kicks with like some robot male sidekick thing. There's some similarities here. If these games come out at the same time, people are going to obviously throw out the competition. Now, and the reality is that is not unusual. Remember when, what was it? Mall Cop and Paul Blart, or what was it, the Seth Rogen one? It was like Security Guard or something.
Security Guard.
Yeah, there are always two, Jamie Foxx and Channing Tatum, White House Down, Gerard Butler, Olympus Has Fallen. Like this is a thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, you will see this in entertainment. People will have similar things, so it's not that out of the norm, right? That's fine. But now you're comparing it on a level that is not based on the merit of the game, its actual like story, its plot, whoop-de-whoop, whatever, like based off its look, and you're attributing potentially like sexism, or you know what I mean, like your wokeism, really, like, oh, it's unflattering angles and da-da-da. It's like, oh, this is kind of offensive. You're like, all right, well, is the game offensive, or does it just have some like sexier shots, like
Exactly.
You know? So yeah, they're similar, but like where you're comparing them,
I feel like it's more of a reach when they're just showing how she twisted to dodge things.
like, yeah, it's a camera angle. I mean, here's the thing: even if that character
same camera
looked,
angle for DMC for when Nero does it, Devil May Cry 5, the very beginning shot. It's the same type of camera angles when he's flipping outside the van and all that stuff. Slowed down, all up on him, shows him the gun, shows him flipping some more, killing all the little demons around him. I'm like, it's a dude. Nobody complained about it then.
and that's true. Like if you're hitting some of the same angles, I mean, like, oh, it's not tight on his buns. Well, men wear baggier pants.
Well, when it comes to us flipping around, we kind of want some space and everything.
Yeah,
but I guess for a female, it's a little bit easier if things are tighter. I don't know.
Well, I guess, like I said, I find it kind of weird that it's like you would want to compare it. I mean, like, yeah, you would compare in the looks, but to kind of go the route of, hey, this one is more offensive because it looks this way is kind of like stupid. Like, besides, like, yeah, it's simply stupid. But like,
you're forcing your whole opinion onto what?
Yeah.
Like,
and again, this is, you know, you can be offended what you like. If you don't like it, homie, you don't like it. But, you know, we already know the articles. We already know the internet. We already know this is about to start. It's given, like, Twitter a couple more days to see this game trailer and see the other one, and here you go. That being said, Forsaken? We didn't even look at, like...
Forspoken.
Yeah, whatever.
Rude.
Yeah. Like,
it's just... When it comes down to it, at first glance, it looks like it'll be great.
It looks really good.
it has Final Fantasy or, you know, Square Enix backing them where you're like, oh, y'all did it? Okay.
Exactly. It's just when it comes down to if we're just going off of the face value of both of these games, then, you know, Forspoken is going to be something obviously kind of out there, a little bit more different, a little bit more edge.
Here's the question to the people that would say, oh, this game's hypersexualized and this game's not. And you're saying this is more realistic. Okay, but again, isn't pretty just in the eye of the beholder? If you find girls in baggy clothes hypersexual, isn't that like hypersexualized into that? You can see some like memes of there, like, oh, I like me the homely girl. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like
there in them baggy clothes with them comfy ass sweaters on and all that. It's just.
And of course, there's the objective, what is sexy and what is not.
Yeah.
You know, I get that, but like.
It just looks, the Forspoken looks extremely Western, and that makes me question what he means by realistic, because it's more traditional jeans and a flannel, you know, or is it, you know, because...
Like, right, are you used to it?
Well, basically, you know, for the Project Eve 2, it's realistic for their world. the bitch is in the future in space. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
like, you know,
She's like Forsaken, for whatever.
Yeah, Forspoken.
Yeah, she gets like sucked into a new world. It's literally a YA novel.
Right.
You know, it's like, oh, it's more realistic. Yes,
Like, that's
because
kind of the
it's
point.
supposed to be.
So yeah,
If you get sucked into a whole other world in whatever clothing you're wearing,
And that's where I mean, like, why make a battle on the basis of something that one person might consider potentially sexist when, yeah, you are technically right. That looks more realistic because it is more realistic. This one looks a lot more sexualized and futuristic because it is supposed to be that way. So it's like, all right, I mean, you know,
Fifth Element's a movie that was back in the day as well, like what, 1999, 2000, Fifth Element? And they had that with everything was super, super spacey, edgy, everything that they were wearing. Like, I mean, Chris Tucker came in there, super cross-dressing, tight clothes, all that stuff. Like,
hey, that's true.
yeah.
it's just, I don't see, he's just trying to fight a battle that don't make no damn sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like when it's, I don't know, when that's the world that they chose, like, yeah, you're entitled to your opinion, you don't have to like it, but I mean, like, you'd be reminisced to see many futuristic stuff, not a little bit sexy somewhere, or honestly, you'd be hard to find any kind of sci-fi entertainment where there's not some kind of like sex appeal scene, sex appeal like character. It's just kind of.
Well, I think what it really is a fantasy factor. It would be no different if, you know, you had a dude and he was in like a super stylized mecha suit. It would be the male's equivalent to that. He'd probably be an attractive anime looking boy with a robot body or some shit. And, you know, does that make it any different? Is it because it's female that this dude has a problem with it? You know, like, I don't know. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Well, yeah, and I mean, like, whether it was like, yeah, if he had a mech suit and then he, you know, comes out his rope like suit and he's all abbed up. I mean, again, like if you were playing Metal Gear Solid and then you're riding and then you see him like half robot, half shirtless, right?
Right. That nigga's literally naked at the beginning of the game.
Exactly. You know, you as a man could be like, gross, I don't want to see this dude naked, but that will never stop you from playing the game.
Right.
And even if you see him dude naked, like you kind of don't care unless like you're playing an entire game with a naked dude. Like, oh, this is a weird game. Like, hey, bro, like some cheat codes.
The whole time. What is this?
Well, like, yeah. So it's like, I don't know. It's like, it's weird to say, hey, this is offensive when it's all like, you know, it's here in all these games, it's here in all these scenes, and you don't know who likes it or not. I mean, there's probably tons of ladies out there that are like, oh, dang, Project Eve, look at her, she a bad bitch. Like, you know, but regardless of even that, I mean, it's just kind of like, I don't know, it's just kind of part of storytelling and art, if you ask me. Like, if you, like, you're writing something, you don't really, unless you literally are writing a story to make the people ugly, you don't really write with the intent to be like, yo, I want these characters to be like, to look like the fugly cashier at the fucking grocery store. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is peak beauty fucking, like, nah, man, come on. What do you got? I want a long-haired Korean girl that looks like she came out of a fucking cartoon. Like, there you go, Project Eve.
Right away. That's it. Just
who looks like Hanako. If you actually look at it, she looks like Hanako.
She does kind of, yeah.
Nana Komatsu for the people out there.
I think that's one of the important things too, is that it's got to be, you know, you basically want to draw people's attention. You want to look down at the case and be like, oh, I'm going to buy this. And you'd be a lot more inclined to buy a game with an explosion on the cover, sexy bodysuit robot bitch jumping out, than you would the chick in the flannel. And
yeah, you'd be like, bro, is this like a picnic game? Like,
you know, like,
oh, it's a farmer.
You also just got to remember marketing when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Right, and it's like
you're still trying to sell a product.
Right, and it's like, I mean, he kind of has this like, oh, she's realistic, but it almost kind of, it's like a double-edged sword when you say that. It's like you almost make it seem like that girl's not pretty. You know, I didn't look at Forspoken and be like, oh, she's ugly. She's just kind of like, just there. Really, it is what it is. Like it got tighter when she was like flying around or whatever, but like the reality was she just looked like just a girl, and the unfortunateness is that makes it look less appealing. It gets more appealing as you sit in, but Project Eve starts off and I'm already interested, and I'm like, damn, look at these bright colors, look at all this. Now again, that's a personal taste thing, who doesn't like some weeby futuristic type shit, but like, come on, like, if you just have like dark colors and just kind of like, oh, here's a normal girl and here she is in a magical. I've seen Harry Potter, bro. Like that's what that is. That's Harry Potter. Project Eve looks like space Harry Potter, and that's newer.
Right. It's just when it comes down to dusting these personal opinions and making it to where, oh, well, because of this modern world, this is how everybody's going to view it. It's like, there's a lot of views and a lot of opinions that go around now. And yours is just one of them.
Here's a better thing, man. We can't make all these like video games and TV show characters looking like regular homely girls. What would the cosplayers do? Are you trying to take their jobs? All right, you will crash a market if you take out all the sexy girls. They will be lost and confused. They'll be like, flannel, I guess I can. What? Did she even pose? Nope, just stand
That's
there.
it. Stand normal.
You will be banged. What's her name? Jessica Nagiri.
With a baseball bat, and that's it.
And let's be real. So it's not a misogyny thing or anything like that, because females want to dress up and be pretty and be the little mikus just as much as the dudes want to see the mikus.
Give money on their OnlyFans.
Yeah. Yes. Shameless plug below. Follow the link.
Well, yeah, like it's more on a like for the most part, if most people enjoy it, why would it need to be a level of debate? Like, yeah, there's definitely some people that are like, okay, well, this is hypersexualized, and then they probably wouldn't buy it. But if you didn't like something hypersexualized, like, you wouldn't buy anything like it. Like, nobody plays like a bloody and gory game, and then the one sex scene there, and they're like, I'm out. Like,
right.
Like that doesn't happen. Yeah. Like, if you were there for the blood and the guts and the action, and then a boob popped out or a penis, you might want to get that a little checked out right there. That's a little weird.
Because it is all about audiences. I bet you that the Project Eve ends up coming out to be probably rated M for mature, at least maybe T for teen, maybe. But point is that if you don't want your son playing that shit, then don't buy it for him.
Pretty much, bro. People like, I think it was, I forgot what game it was. Maybe it was Last of Us, or I think it was the creator, where they were talking about, like, oh, it teaches young girls and stuff. Like, bro, like, don't let your girl buy this. Like, don't let your daughter dress like this. I couldn't get God of War. My mom said, I was like, I don't even know, maybe 14 or something like that when the first one came out. I was like, hey, can I get this? Nope. I walk out the GameStop in shame. I was like, damn. And that dude looked at me.
Was like, sorry,
man. It's time to go away. Like, oh, man, and that's fine. You get to play it later. It's better later. There are some things. I mean, we all probably got some weird trauma, seen something you shouldn't have seen as a kid. Might be gave you a fetish even. That's life.
True.
That's true. But in the end, that's life. You kind of let these things happen to you. You don't force feed it on the kid. If you think this game is kid tight, and it's got boobies and butts, and you got Junior, don't play it around you. Period is that, And if you're offended by the boobies and butts, don't get the game, but don't try to stir up unnecessary competition or hatred because for whatever reason you dislike sexual things, but violence is okay. That is weird to me because you're killing, but then there's sex appeal. Like, one is definitely worse.
Yeah, right. Definitely.
So, yeah, I don't know. Any other final thoughts? All right then.
That was decent.
Good.